what we do with our experts is bring what they have to say and make it interesting and engaging. We have many classes that are coming up. One from a cardiologist in the US who explains the connection between mental health and heart health. Another expert who's coming in on medical gaslighting and how this looks so you're not caught by surprise in it. Getting people to hear about these subjects that are really important to their health. The other part is to show people who they can turn to for different health matters. Do I even talk to my doctor about that? Most won't. But then who do I talk to about that? You can Google something, but then again you get like powder solutions and vitamins and all of this. Whether it's low desire or postpartum or pregnancy loss, here are the different experts. Try one, and just because it didn't work, don't stop there. Don't stop until you feel like you've reached a healthy normal where your body's feeling good.
My name is Nobin John, your host. I believe that we live among superheroes. Many a times we walk past them not knowing because of our busy schedules. This podcast is my journey to find such individuals, bring them on board, and have meaningful conversation to unravel the biohacks and lifestyle hacks that they have used to optimize well-being and realize their fullest potential. In many of these hacks will lie the solution for us to look better, perform better, and live longer. Welcome to the Zuperhuman Podcast. My guest today is a very inspiring wellness entrepreneur. Her journey from being an ex-brand strategist in the luxury industry to today being one of Hong Kong's leading names in wellness space and an author to a super educated book is very impressive and for me, very empowering. She is the founder to the OM Health Hub, an online platform that I think is cutting edge, engaging, and informative. The OM Health Hub does an amazing job in bringing some of the greatest minds in the wellness industry under one roof with the convenience for anyone out there in their busy lifestyles to access it from any part of the world. I feel blessed today to learn more about her journey. Anca, welcome on board.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you.
I feel so blessed to be sitting with a health entrepreneur like yourself.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Your work is truly cutting edge, informative, and also what I think a solution for the future.
I'm happy to hear you think so. Thank you.
Most importantly, it is very inspiring to somebody like myself who's always going out there to look for biohacks or solutions with less clutter, if I may say, where we live in a world today where there is just so much noise out there, especially in the sphere of health and wellness, and we're not able to navigate through this. And sometimes this noise is more stressful than healing.
It's true. I mean, that has been one of the things that has really shocked me. The speed at which we moved from a place of no information or taboo to misinformation, disinformation, trying to take advantage. And so for consumers, there are amazing health tools out there, and they should be taking advantage of them. There's amazing experts out there, but to navigate what's happening today when people can say whatever they want online in social media with no repercussions, right. And they know how to do it. They tap into people's pain points. They sound great. They look great. And then they make these scientifically sounding very important statements. And people are like, oh, well, maybe. I don't know. So, it's become really, really challenging.
And this is what fascinated me, especially with your work to do with OM Health Hub, where you're able to bring some of the finest and greatest minds around out there in the world to one platform and create so much of convenience. Tell me a bit more about the OM Health Hub.
Sure. Yeah, happy to. So a bit about my background. For a long time, I worked in the luxury industry. So I used to work for a big luxury group in Europe. So I spent 6 years in Paris, and then I moved to Asia 12 years ago. Now, I was with luxury when it transitioned online. So before, the early 2000s, nobody could imagine that you'd buy like a $3,000 handbag online. And especially European brands wouldn't imagine that because they say, no, it's about the experience, about going in and touching and living and all of that. But it turned out that you can do it. And when you do it well and people trust what the platform, they do purchase and they purchase more because it's accessible to more people versus just the ones living in financial hubs. So went through that journey, and then because of a few health experiences of my own as a woman, nothing very unique. I had children, I had some miscarriages, but it was in those moments where I thought, wait a minute, what is happening? I have access to all this information online, but where is the information for these times in my life where I feel I need support to heal in the right way? And I don't care about collagen powders and micro ingredients and all of this. That's great to kind of, that's what the lifestyle I had before.
Right.
But how do I understand this, right? So I'm Canadian. I lived in North America. I lived in Europe for 6 years, and I'd been in Asia. I also saw that different places did different things well. So, for example, again, going back to the postpartum time for a woman, in France, the pelvic floor is really well supported. It's so well supported that the government pays for every woman that gives birth to have pelvic floor therapy after 6 weeks of birth. You don't need to convince a French woman that her pelvic floor is important. After birth, it's part of the system. If they ever have issues with incontinence, with anything else, they go and they see a pelvic floor therapist and they deal with it because it's something that's treatable and you can take care of. But try convincing any other woman across the world on that. So then the numbers, when you look at this, only this in terms of pelvic floor, again, incontinence, or even how accepted it is to have issues around this. I was looking earlier at women's health out of the UK, and there was a post on their social media where this woman was like, we all pee our pants a little when we laugh, don't we, ladies? No, we don't. Like, nobody should accept that as normal, nor should you buy yoni eggs or try to do Kegels or try to do so many of the things that are out there that are trying to take advantage before you see a pelvic floor therapist, because that's the tool that you need at that time. So France was doing that well. Because I was lucky to give birth to my children in Hong Kong, I tapped into the traditional Chinese medicine system of taking care of the body and healing it postpartum. What an amazing tool, to have foods that are adapted to healing, to have ingredients that promote water retention, to support that, to, strengthen your body. Like, women across the world should know this, right? So I said, okay, so clearly what's missing is a place where we go to and we find the best health experts from across the world, because a pelvic floor therapist is going to have to, from what I saw at that time, come out of France, a traditional Chinese doctor out of Hong Kong. What about women's brains? Well, it looks like out of Australia. That's where they are the best at, doing this. So I started reaching out to the best health experts a little bit, going back to my background of luxury. If we could have the best of the best, who would they be? Now, honestly, the thing that surprised me is that they responded and that they were enthusiastic to come on board with OM, because, why would they? I had no experience in this. What I was telling them is I'm creating a platform that brings together health experts and they can teach people everywhere what they know. Their response was overwhelmingly enthusiastic, and they said, yes, absolutely. And I'll tell you why, because I have been working on women's brain health for the past 20 years. I'm a clinician. I've done the research. I head the study, and I head a university. But I'm not a social media star. I don't have time to create, posts and to educate women. I have the content. I don't know how to put it out there. And I'm frustrated by seeing that women are not tapping into the information I have about this subject. So if you want to take this and you want to work with me and you push it out there, great. So that was the beginning of OM, starting from that. And then what I learned about the health and wellness market, especially for women, is the reason why we wrote the book together with my co-founders. It's kind of the reason why we keep on going and doing what we're doing, yeah.
It's amazing how OM Health Hub is able to bring some of the finest minds out there and create so much of convenience. In today's busy lifestyle, as you beautifully said, we tend to normalize a lot of things. Even if it's a small pain or if it's an ache, we even joke about it to an extent where somewhere deep within our body is trying to tell us something. And we just shut it down, shut that response down and normalize it. And after a while, it's just another normal day in the office where, I'm having that ache. It's been there for 5 years now. but other areas of my life are also eroding. Yeah. But never having the time. Time has become an excuse. And I think practitioners today are realizing it. And it's amazing. And I'm so inspired by other practitioners around the world also coming forward and understanding that conventional medicine is definitely playing a massive role in buying time to people. There should be other platforms out there that actually help people utilize that time to stand on a platform and say, okay, there is a problem. These medicines are buying me time. Supplements, again, are a tool. They are, as defined, supplement to your food. And I love what you beautifully said. There is so much that we can learn from conventional or ancestral medicine where people have used food as medicine. I think that's going to be the future. Long way to go, but like you rightly said, there are different parts of the world where emphasis is on a different aspect of things. For example, like even in Hong Kong where we live, although Chinese medicine is a topic, but it's not as hot as what it should be because there is proven science. It is still something that people secretly go and maybe consult. It's not as flashy as walking into a hospital, if I can say. Functional medicine clinics around the city, there should be many more. Whereas, look at the States. It's everywhere. People realize that food is medicine, conventional medicine is great, but integrative medicine, or what you beautifully term as precision health, is the key. As a functional medicine health coach, I really believe that precision health will be the way for us to re-engineer the states that we are in. And I love what OM Health Hub does and love what you guys say. You are pioneering precision health. And for a lot of the audience who are listening to us today, let's define this word precision health from your perspective with all the passion that you carry to create this beautiful hub.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So before I get to that, what you mentioned here, and that was another thing that surprised me. I'm going to spend this whole podcast talking about the things that surprised me about health.
We need those wow moments because that's what moved you.
I knew from my own experience that traditional Chinese medicine was great. And we have this kind of belief on the back of our mind that Western doctors would judge us if we're using other modalities, right? Wow. So then when I was reaching out, to cardiologists in the U.S., to endocrinologists, to all of these doctors, I was almost like, traditional Chinese medicine, we have, I almost, but what I realized very quickly after meeting with them is that they are absolutely not against that. There is a place and a time for everything, and we're so lucky that we have both. And the doctors that we meet understand that health is holistic, and that if you're stressed in your financial health, that's going to impact your actual health. If your family life is hurting for some reason, that's going to impact your physical health. They all know that. And there's a story in the book where Dr. Alison McGregor, and she's an emergency care doctor, said, this is how I, as a doctor, understand this. I had an aunt, and she put her hand in a meat grinder, and she lost her fingers. She went to the hospitals. The doctors operated on her. They did a beautiful job. She healed perfectly. But for years, she had ghost pains in her hand, and she walked a little bit hunched, and she was incredibly ashamed of her hand. And so she said, I sent her to a healer, an energetic healer / masseuse and everything. And she's like, after a session with her, she walked out the door in a different way, a different person. She was no longer ashamed. She no longer felt pain. And she said the doctors did what they could for her hand, but that healer did something else to heal another part of her body that was suffering. And so the way, the doctors that join OM see things is like, if we can see it on a chart, we know what to do with it most of the time, right? If we don't, it's going back to your point. People let one thing that hurts them continue for a long time without addressing it. And the body is, is incredible because it will adapt, but it will cascade into something worse, right? So addressing something at the beginning, listening to your body, addressing it, will save you from that cascading into a more serious health matter. So I think what I realized is, okay, when you're a certain type of professional, You're not afraid. You understand that the body's holistic. You understand your role in it, and you don't discount other professions that are supporting health. In the same way, traditional Chinese medicine and the doctors that we have a doctor in Hong Kong who works in women's health, and she supports women get pregnant through traditional Chinese medicine, support the process of IVF.
Wow.
So she's not saying like, come in, I'm going to get you pregnant with acupuncture, right? She talks about how, acupuncture, the teas and everything can support that. She can perhaps strengthen the body, but she's not going to say, you have to come to me if you break a leg, right? There's a place for everybody.
It's a clear definition and a place where things can coexist. And I love the way the States and even in the UK these days are so much ahead of the game, where they respect and have adopted like an integrative medical practice, where there is a time and place for alternate medicine. There's a time and place for conventional medicine, and they can coexist because at the end, what they're concerned is the output, or if I can say the betterment of the client from a holistic perspective.
That's right.
It's just not healing the pain, but it's also going down to the root cause and using food as medicine, using rest and relaxation as medicine, using therapies like, self-love.
Yeah.
A topic that is just, again, especially from a male perspective too, it's a topic that men don't even talk about. Doesn't realize the importance of actually starting to take care of yourself a bit.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong in it. And also enhancing your relationship, if I can say, with yourself better, and also with the environment around you. There is no reason to be shy. This is all therapies and modalities that is truly to be used from a medical perspective to optimize someone's well-being. And you guys do that beautifully in the OM Health Hub platform, where you're bringing it all together. Their expertise in the hormone realm of things, gut health. Another area where I'm really, where people don't talk about much is also like sexual health.
Sexual health, yeah. Absolutely.
It's something that is shied away by men and by women, but more by men too these days.
So, okay, this is the perfect time to talk about what is precision health, right? And how, why do we even say that? We did start in women's health, and we started in women's health because looking at it, I thought, well, women's health journey is not supported in the way it needs to.
Right.
And started with postpartum, but from there, the health experts were like, well, I know it's not only postpartum, it's menopause, it's perimenopause, it's gut health, it's mental health. And we grew specific to women's health. But then when we looked at it, we continued to talk to experts, to every subject, there's more that you can look at. So you take something like postpartum depression. You have postpartum depression in mothers, but you also have 1 in 10 men will experience postpartum depression.
Wow.
And that's a very specific case, right? It's a very specific type of experience that they are having. You mentioned men's mental health. You cannot say mental health. You have to say mental health for women, mental health for men.
Love it.
Then you can even look inside the communities, right? There's different experiences that communities have that will link to how they are physically and how they are mentally. You take a look at something like in the U.S., the African American women, they have 30% more chance of dying postpartum than white women. And why is that? It's not only the physicality of it. It's, the way the system treats them, but you need to address that. You can't just say postpartum. You know what I mean?
That's correct.
So precision health is just tailoring the health advice that you are looking at and you're giving to the person in front of you. Are you a 40-year-old male? Are you a woman going through your postpartum period? Are you struggling with, menstrual cramps? And sexual health has been identified by the World Health Organization as integral to our overall health, right? But there's so many aspects of sexuality, right? There's desire, and desire in men is different than desire in women. Even desire when it comes to, for example, as being as specific as a woman going through perimenopause or menopause, there's many things that arise during that time. And with that understanding, there's many tools that exist. So yeah, I think what we have seen so far is, what's great? Collagen powder. Collagen powder is great. You should take it. It's good for your bones. It's good for your skin. It's good for this. It's like everybody put it in your coffee in the morning. Or, this applies to everything. What's fantastic? Intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting. It will, detoxify, and then they, ice baths, all of this. And it's like, yes, maybe for some.
Correct.
It will not be good for others. Okay, so we can take intermittent fasting as an example. That's also discussed in the book. I'll start with myself, my experience. My husband and I both decided to try intermittent fasting. It was after I had my first child. It was about a year postpartum, and I thought, yeah, great. It sounds great. It sounds like, it's going to make my body stronger, my mind more agile, detox, all of this. Let's do it. So we both started, and after a week, he was thriving on it. He did struggle a little bit at the beginning, but after a week or two, he was thriving on it. He's like, I just feel, especially around midday, I feel so great. My mind is clear. I feel lighter. He's like, it's even better if I do a little bit of exercise in the morning. I feel great. And clearly he was thriving on it. He lost a lot of weight.
Right.
And myself, my experience was, and this was the whole time, I would wake up hungry and cranky. I wouldn't be able to eat, so until about 11 or 12 when I would eat, I would think about food and be angry and be so angry that I could react well to situations. And then I'd eat, but then no matter what I ate, heavy or light, I wouldn't digest it well. And I start feeling okay around 4. And then I knew, I could have dinner. And then I'm like, what am I doing to myself? My whole day's ruined. And I need to function. I have kids. I have my business. I need to have my day. So I went back to eating breakfast. Didn't think about it again until I met another one of our experts from Hong Kong, Trisha. And she put one of those glucose monitoring things in my arms, right? And she's like, I'm going to ask you questions around this, but let's put this so we can check it. It's interesting when you actually have facts, right? So you put this glucose monitoring thing in your arm, and at any moment of the day, you can check your glucose levels, right? So I did that, and she's like, okay, let me ask you also some questions. How do you sleep at night? I was like, not so well, because, I'm still breastfeeding, and I also have calls with the U.S. because that's our main market. So she's like, so you don't sleep well, and you wake up feeling how? I'm like, feeling tired and hungry. She's like, okay. All right, so she left me with that. I was checking my glucose for a week, and then I went to see her, and she's like, look, what's happening with you is when you don't sleep well already, your insulin level is going to be hurt. I was waking up with super low insulin. Basically, my body was in crash mode, which happens if you don't sleep well during the night. It happens even more as a woman. What Trisha was saying is that women have a much higher tendency to wake up with low glucose. From there, I was setting myself on a bad trend. I was basically putting my body in the state where it was thinking that there's just not going to be any food availability, and it was slowing down my metabolism. So in addition to the fact that my brain wasn't working and I was angry and all of this, I was actually slowing down my metabolism, exactly what I was trying not to achieve and to lose some weight. So she said, look, if you insist on this, which you can do it, but it's just a reduction of calories in the end. I see women doing it much better at night versus in the morning. Mm-hmm. But again, when you look at the studies around intermittent fasting, you see that they're in large majority done on men.
Correct.
So when we know that women's bodies react differently to everything from, how they metabolize things to how our hunger hormones work to how our cortisol levels work. So my body was telling me that. I knew that, but I never said to myself until I actually saw it through a glucose test that maybe this is not the right thing for you, because nobody online will say that. They won't say, intermittent fasting is great for some, and it might not be great for you, but for those that is great, it's like this, right? So I think what we need to go to is with the information that we get all the time, sometimes you need to try different things.
Right.
And it's your body that will tell you.
Beautiful.
It's your body that will tell you if it's working out for you or if it's not. And if it's not, if you want to look into it more, a lot of the times there's a reason. And we can go back to the book, and the first part of the book is the male-centric medical system, and it's Dr. McGregor who talks about that. And she basically says, look, since the beginning of modern medicine, we have been studying male bodies with the assumption that the male and the female bodies are the same, and applying it to both. But what we have seen is that, unfortunately, we are different beyond our reproductive organs. So the way we metabolize drugs is different, our brains are different, our gut is different, everything is different. So then the large majority of the medication that's taken off of the market is because it has side effects in women.
Okay.
We don't know women's bodies in terms of how we metabolize drugs. We don't know women's bodies in terms of how we present for diseases. And we don't know women's bodies in terms of the medical tools that are being used to support us and to identify what we're going through. I gave you the example of intermittent fasting, which is, again, a tool for the body that has not been studied on women. Another thing that we can look at is something like heart disease. Heart disease kills men and women. It's the number one killer of both men and women. And if I was going to ask everybody that's listening to this podcast, what does a heart attack look like? I think in their minds, they're going to think, okay, difficulty breathing, pressure on the chest, tingling in the left arm. Okay, that's a male heart attack or a Hollywood heart attack. It's a heart attack we see in movies. Females present differently with heart attacks. They have sometimes pain between the shoulders. They have gut pain. They have lightheadedness, migraines, extreme fatigue. They present with different symptoms. To this day, medical schools have not integrated that women present differently with heart disease, even though we know it. And so what happens is women don't know to identify this themselves because it's just not out there. They go into the emergency room and the doctor sees them. They're not taught that, I need to treat this woman differently because she's talking to me about symptoms like fatigue, like feeling not quite right, like pain between the shoulders. I'm going to send her home with some antidepressants because she's a little bit stressed. And women have 70% more likely chance of dying of heart disease after they go home from the emergency room than men because of that. So this male-centric medical system, male-centric wellness system, where we study things on men and kind of promote it to everybody, is the exact opposite of precision medicine and precision healthcare, right?
That fascinates me. I mean, there's so many facts in there, which is very new to me. And being on the other side of the fence here, that is an area where I never looked at. And maybe that is exactly what is happening in the system that you mentioned. It doesn't surprise me. And let's put it this way. There is a problem. And this problem needs to be addressed. And I feel a strong calling from within that OM Health Hub is pioneering the solution. Tell me a bit more about how OM Health Hub is able to help women who are in a situation where they feel like, hey, I'm getting nowhere, or I need help. Their body is talking to them, but they don't know, or they've lost hope in the conventional medicine system. How does OM Health Hub provide that hand?
So what we do with our experts is to bring what they have to say and make it interesting and engaging for people to come in. So I'll tell you some examples from the things that I mentioned. With heart health, we have many classes that are coming up. One from a cardiologist in the US who explains the connection between mental health and heart health. And he takes you through this journey of understanding, okay, how are these two connected? Because most even medical professionals don't understand this connection. Now that you know, how can you have an empowered approach when you go to see your doctor about this, right? To say like, okay, this is what I need to happen for me to rule out heart disease. And then you don't stop there. Because if you're having mental health issues that are coming out in heart symptoms, then you need to continue that journey. So how do you continue that journey to get help in the right way? We have another expert, Dr. Jenkins, who's coming in on medical gaslighting and explaining to women why this is happening and how this looks and what you can do about it and how you can have, an empowered conversation with your providers, where you need to challenge the system and why is the system working in this way so you're not caught by surprise in it. Right. So the idea is it's almost like twofold. One, getting people to hear about these subjects that are really important to their health. That's one. The other part is to show people who they can turn to for different health matters, because that's something that I found with a lot of consumers are like, okay, I have low desire, low libido. Do I even talk to my doctor about that? Most won't. But then who do I talk to about that? You can Google something, but then again, you get like powder solutions and vitamins and all of this. Yeah. And so the idea is to say, okay, we're going to work with a health expert on desire, and we're going to split it by men and women because, it's very different.
Right.
In the women's class, we're going to talk to them. What happens when you have low desire? Why that can happen? Who you can talk to? What are the tools that you can tap into to shift that dynamic? So one is having this information that people don't even know about available to them to come into. The second is when you're dealing with something, whether it's low desire or postpartum or pregnancy loss, who do you go to?
Right.
And what are the tools available to you?
I think I love the way the hub does it, because from what I understand, it's actually telling somebody who has an issue, you're not the only one, which is a big relief. Who says, wow,
absolutely.
Okay, tell me more. You tell them the why. Possibilities of why this is happening. So you're not directly telling them, hey, go do this, which is every other commercial advertisement that is out there that is doing the same. Go do this. This is the answer. Instead, your approach of bringing people and saying, you're not the only one, which completely puts them in a state of, yeah, I'm normal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I really don't have to react. I can just maybe empower myself with education. And then you beautifully provide education to your clientele. And then from there on, lead them to some of the proven solutions, some of the best minds that you have, and leading them to gateways where they could be at the door in control. Many a times we lose health or completely give up on health because we feel like we're out of control.
That's right.
But I feel like OM Health Hub is a place where you say, hey, it's absolutely okay. You educate them why this is happening. And then you show them multiple doors they could go and start their healing, regenerative journey.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. The other thing is, and I'm fully aware of this, what works for somebody might not work for somebody else.
Beautiful.
So
absolutely.
when you know me for 10 minutes, like I meet somebody new, we have a conversation, they say, oh, this hurts. I'm like, have you seen a traditional Chinese doctor? I'm a big fan of traditional Chinese medicine. I'm a big fan. It has worked for me. I go all the time. It might not work out for others, right? But I think it comes from a good place where we kind of find something that works for us and we want everybody else to do it because we think it's the best thing.
Right.
But again, meditation is for some. It's not for all, but there's other mindful ways to get to that place, right? And it's offering people a choice of saying, okay, well, here are the different tools. Here are the different experts. You try one, and just because it didn't work, it doesn't mean that either that expert is wrong or that tool, but try other things. Don't stop there. Don't stop until you feel like you've reached a healthy normal where your body's feeling good, right? So I think people a lot of the times, because they've been let down so much and they've been in this spin cycle of like trying and trying, especially when it comes to diets, it's so frustrating. What works for some doesn't work for others, right? So you have to see what works for you.
It seems like OM Health Hub is a platform where people can come and just start a journey, if I can say, and just have fun with empowering themselves with the tools where health just happens. There is no magic pill.
You know, we live in Hong Kong, and Hong Kong is a high achieving environment.
Absolutely.
And we get a certain type of personality here.
Yeah.
That's the thing that has really surprised me. People try a lot of things to be healthy, to be fit, to look good, to feel good. Yeah, a lot of it is about vanity. But the interesting thing is if you're healthy in your body, you're also going to look your best, right? So it's nothing against the vanity bit of it. The thing that I feel really sad about and sometimes makes my blood boil is when I see that people are hurting their health and not achieving results because they're doing crazy things. Again, carnivore diet, high intensity something or other, and they try so hard and they exhaust their bodies and they hurt their bodies in the long term, when health can be so simple. And it goes back to our bodies. We have to listen. Nobody has told us, listen to your body. What does your body need? Because it will tell you. It will tell you the exercise that it enjoys. You don't have to do high intensity training if you don't feel like it's fantastic for you. Some love it, and some just are in it because they think it's the thing to do, right?
The trend,
right, is the thing that's going to give me the most this and that. No, the thing that's going to give you the most and for the longest time is the thing you enjoy. Find out what that is and do it. Movement is super important. Movement is important mentally.
Love what you said there.
And physically as well. We're not doing enough of it. But there's no amazing exercise that's one is better than the other. It's not running. It's not high intensity anything. It's not, strength training is fantastic for women for sure, but there's many different ways to go about doing it.
Right.
It doesn't have to happen in a gym. So I think when we go back to our bodies, we listen to what works, what doesn't in terms of nutrition, in terms of exercise. We do more of it because it's working out for us.
Right. You do more of what is working out for you. And then the whole journey, if it's not working out for you, just like a relationship, you just have to, boldly say, it's not working out for me. It could work out for others, but it's not for me. Or in simple terms, what I feel good eating, maybe a gluten-free diet or a keto diet, might not be the solution to somebody else.
Exactly.
So this goes out to a lot of people and instructors out there who try to impose a particular diet onto people thinking it's worked for them. And it goes back again to education.
Yeah.
And I think there lies the key. Education is empowerment in today's world. Now, just switching gears here, it's the most researched topic in the world today after cancer is gut health. Nobody talks about it because it's the research topic. But the most funded topic, of course, is mental health.
Yes.
So every product is themed around mental health.
Yes.
I believe that your gut is the fundamentals to where it all starts.
Yes.
What do you think are some of the major concerns people are really struggling with?
Yeah, no, I love that. And I remember when we were building the first version of OM, which was almost like only a catalog. It was online. Now we have streamable classes. I couldn't put mental health and physical. I couldn't separate our sessions that were mental health and physical health because one worked with the other, right? So I put it together and we said mental health is not only in your head.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah,
so
well said.
Mental health is impacted by so many things. A lot of the times it's impacted by something that is happening, with your environment, with how you structured your lifestyle. But a lot of the times it's your body trying to tell you something. As we saw with many of the experts, it's hard to say to somebody like, calm down or relax or go meditate a little bit. That's not something you can control. But what you can control, what you have that you can actually tweak is your gut health, as you said, your sleep, your movement. You can make incremental changes in that. And every study has shown that when you improve on that, mental health also improves.
Wow.
With gut health, gut health, we need to look at it a little bit like traditional Chinese medicine does. It's the fuel to everything in our body, to skin health, to hair health, to our energy, to our emotions. It's linked to everything, right? This is where, again, going back to the diet culture, what frustrates me is that I know how all these diets are hurting our gut health. And when it hurts our microbiota in the gut, it hurts everything else, also mental health. So then consumers are in this back and forth. Carbs are bad for you, super bad, don't eat carbs. Well, actually, we see that, carbs are good for you because it's good for digestion. It calms your mind. It creates serotonin. And so we keep on going on this, back and forth because it's starting from a place of, I want to lose weight or something like that. Yeah.
And I think before this conversation that we had, I loved the phrase that you said, like the biggest prescription that you can give to anybody who's not feeling well would be first, maybe just eat well.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's something that is as simple as a hack that if you're not feeling well, start with just eating well, maybe.
But look, even eating well has become difficult. I'd say the simplest thing you could do is move. Don't worry about going to a gym. Don't worry. Move in whatever way that makes you happy. Walking, hiking, dancing, whatever. Walking up more stairs. Move. You can do that. It's accessible to everybody at any age, at any health.
And I think integrative medicine puts it in a beautiful way where they mention as exercise and movement.
Yeah.
Not just exercise and movement is one of the fundamental pillars to optimizing detoxification, gut health, assimilation, cellular regeneration, and cognitive health.
Everything, just everything.
And movement is never focused on as much as important. If you're not working out, you're not doing well, which is so wrong.
Harvard studies has shown that 15 minutes of walking or movement a day adds 3 years to your life.
just going to repeat that. 15 minutes of
only
just
15
walking.
minutes.
So guys, there is no excuse that you're busy. Get that 15-minute walk in.
Yeah.
Don't order food online. Get to the restaurant. If you're busy, that's your 15-minute walk. Walk back and maybe sit on a table and just eat.
Yeah.
But saying that we don't have the time to move, I think it's amazing how just movement is healing.
Yes.
I also know that you guys work very closely with corporates.
Yes, that's right.
And in general, corporate environment, especially in Hong Kong, as you mentioned, is a high-stress environment. Mm-hmm. In this corporate environment, let's just talk about stress element, right?
Yep.
What are some of the hacks that you would suggest based on the education and the expertise pool that you have for people who are just feeling, this work is getting to me?
I think it's keeping in mind that when you have a strong body, you have a strong mind. And to have a strong body, you need to allow it to heal well. What I see a lot of the times is there's not enough time taken in the moment to heal, which leads to continually having a weak body, which cascades into a health complication. And I'm going to take a subject like pregnancy loss, miscarriage. 1 in 4 pregnancies ends in a miscarriage.
Wow.
1 in 4. 25% of pregnancies will end in a miscarriage. It's astonishing. It surprised me when it happened to me because I didn't know the numbers were so high. Sure, it can happen earlier on in a huge majority of the time, but even when it happens early on, the toll that it takes mentally and physically on a woman's body is huge. And again, it is one of our traditional Chinese doctors, Gigi, she said to me, in traditional Chinese medicine, we see a miscarriage more traumatic to the woman's body than actually delivering the baby at term, because it's a natural process broken, and the mind suffers and the body suffers. And that just, when I heard it, it almost like broke me because it's so true and nobody acknowledges that.
Right.
I went through 2 miscarriages and it just felt like, okay, time to move on, go back to work. I didn't even tell anybody, just went back to work, and not allowing the body to heal, or even if it's just a few days, that weakness that you feel will continue for a longer time.
Right.
And it could be the same thing for women going through postpartum, allowing the body to heal, to somebody going through a surgery, or somebody having had a huge period of stress. And I don't think we look at stress like we look at a broken leg, right? Let's say you went through a huge period of stress at work, and it happens, and your body hustles through it. It does. Yeah. It will be there for you. But consciously realize that after, you need to replenish it to allow the time to kind of rest and strengthen the body, and we don't have that awareness. We just kind of push through from one difficult period to continuing our lives as they were before, versus allowing that time to get strength back in our body. And I think that's the thing. We can't avoid stress, right? Stress is going to happen, especially in some jobs that are incredibly intense. But you don't want to get to a place where you burn out, or you don't want to get to a place, which often happens, where your body shuts down. So you want to care for your body. I would say my advice, care for your body in those moments when it needs it most. Right. Take the time to care.
I love how you said it, just being mindful that your body is maybe telling you something, and address it at that moment in itself before it actually escalates to something where you might need more time.
Yeah.
And that in itself is a beautiful or a perfect starting point for someone who feels like, a feeling of like a burnout. I think it's an overrated word, but a state for sure. It is a state. It need not be called burnout as a state from where there is no coming back. It's just a state. Acknowledge it at the moment. Love that word that you use. And then get on a fun journey where, you start to reconstruct yourself. Take a break, pull out, just unplug, and then just have fun with life a bit. Go on a walk. Start appreciating the smallest things in life. Yeah. Gratitude practice, meditation. And like you said, meditation is not always the answer. There are so many mindful practices that you beautifully mentioned. There's so many hacks out there that you can use. Don't stick with one. I think it was Bruce Lee who said, be water. Take the shape of whatever you get poured into. Yeah. And then just keep flowing. And it's a journey. Optimizing health is a journey. There is no final destination, but also getting on a platform where you can actually say, okay, I think something needs work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm just going to have fun with this reconstruction, just like we built sandcastles on the beach.
That's right. And in those moments, you have to realize, as much as you're going to get those messages on Instagram and other platforms, it's not a magic pill that's going to do the job. It's not some powder that's going to get rid of the brain fog. It's not, some vitamins. There's people that are taking insane amount of vitamins.
I loved your podcast, by the way, on the OH Health Hub on vitamins, and also where Trisha Yep, she was here in the podcast too before, where she shares her view about the carnivore diet. And
the next one is probiotics, so you're going to love it.
Oh, wow. Definitely. Yeah. I'm switched on. And viewers and listeners, if you haven't checked out this website, there's a wealth of information. And I just feel like I've just walked into a safe space where I have immense options that I can click. I can choose what I want to, and different tiers, which makes it so approachable. And that's the beauty. And you don't have to go for something that is so premium and that is not affordable. Yeah. It's a journey. You get in, feel comfortable, and then choose.
Yep.
Now, switching topics here, this book, it should ring in basically everybody's heart, and it can actually move people, where it just says 5 women aren't winning in health. For everyone, health is to be won. Everybody is a businessman, I believe. Yeah. And the biggest business that they're in is optimization of health. Yeah. Everything else just happens. It's magic.
Well, it's so funny that you say business, because, again, my background, not in health and wellness, right? I started because I really saw an opportunity there, to be honest. Yeah. I'm like, this is not being done, and it should be done, because coming from a place of business, women are 80% of health and wellness consumers. 80%.
Wow.
Now, add that to the fact that the products that are on the market are not made for us. That's dissonance to me, makes no sense, right? Companies spend billions of dollars trying to figure out their consumers and make products amazingly perfect for them. And here we have a market, women, ready to take charge of their health. Biggest consumers, and none of the products are out there for them. And it's just like, wow, what is happening? And it's funny because we spoke with insurance companies, right? Like big ones, AIA, and I think all of the insurance companies are going to have the same profiles. They have men and women as consumers, right? Very different profiles. Men's files kind of look like this. Nothing, 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 heart attack. Nothing, 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 big health event. Women are engaging with their health punctually. Right. So we are trying. We're doing a lot of things, but the products that are there are not for us. So in this book, it's myself and it's 2 doctors from the U.S. These 2 doctors, Dr. Alison McGregor and Dr. Marjorie Jenkins, they've dedicated their lives to women's health. And when I say women's health, I don't only mean reproductive health. I mean all of their health, right. Our guts, our brain, all of the things that makes us women. And they have done incredible work at changing the system from the inside to get more women in health studies, to get doctors to be trained to understand how women present with diseases and how to treat them differently and all of this. So they're doing this work. But as Dr. Alison McGregor said, that's half the work. The other half of the work is empowering women with the information of what is happening for them to be able to not change the system, because women are busy, so we're not asking them to change anything or to go out there and to do any work, but how to advocate for their health, for their daughter's health, for, their mother's health, for all the women in their lives. So the book is split in different parts. The beginning of it is we're looking at the medical system.
Right.
And we're explaining how the medical system is male-centric, a little bit like I mentioned before, where all of the studies have been done on men, applied to women, and that doesn't seem to be working out. But unfortunately, what's happening is, let's say you go see your doctor. And he's like, he looks at your results on his chart, and he's like, I don't see anything there. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. The tester's not saying anything. And you're thinking as a woman, but I still feel sick. And he's like, well, it's just probably anxiety. So because the tests don't show, because our bodies have not been studied enough, we don't have all of the results that we need to have have answers to our questions. 1, because to be fair, maybe the science is not there, but 2, because the science has not focused on women's bodies in an appropriate way. So because we are engaged consumers, again, in our health, we go out there and we search for a solution. And that's where we fall in the wellness market, right? And that's the second part of the book. The second part of the book is how the wellness market takes advantage of us when we are not feeling well, and how they use our pain points to try to sell us a product, and how unregulated it is. There's an example that I give in the book about Kim Kardashian. Like about a year ago, she was pushing a cryptocurrency product. I think she was invested in it, but also they paid her $250,000 US to promote this company. She's like, great, this is great, something crypto, something. The authority in the US, the SEC, I think it's called, I forgot, fined her $1 million for talking about a product that she's not an expert in, told her to pull her post down, and asked her to pay the money back to them that was given to her for this post. And they said she's not an expert on it, she's not allowed to talk about financial products, and she has promised us that she will not do something like this for the next 2 or 3 years. Where is this happening when it comes to all of the health stuff that non-experts push? She promoted beyond vitamins, things like medicine for women's nausea when they were pregnant, all of these things. There's nobody that can come after people that are saying anything online about health. So we are in a market, a wellness market, where people can say whatever they want, basically.
Very correct. Love the word you use, unregulated.
And it's hard as consumers, right? Because this is the marketing formula. You say pain points. Do you have brain fog? Do you feel tired? That's because you have a fill in the vitamin deficiency. But this product will fix that and will blah, 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 blah. And you buy it. And if it doesn't work out for you, the best situation, nothing will happen. Worst situation, it will hurt you. But even at that point, there's not that much that you can do about it because it's not medicine. It's a vitamin or a powder or whatever. So we're explaining to women in the second part of the book how to identify red flags when it comes to the wellness market.
Such
it's not all bad.
Topic.
It's not all bad, right? There's so many things that you can tap into that are great. Omega-3s, vitamin Ds, different things at different times that support your body. You should take advantage of that when needed, and it will help your body. But there's just so much out there that we're wasting our money on. Unfortunately, it hurts us some of the time.
I feel like this book is something which just helps you to say, I just need to be a little bit more inquisitive before I make this purchase.
Yeah.
Knowledge kind of empowers.
Yeah.
Seems like this is a friend that helps you make a better choice.
You
understand
the system, right? So
Love
then
it.
you can look at it with a different eye.
Yeah.
The fourth part of the book is Dr. Jenkins, who's worked with thousands of women in her life. And she's seen the mental barriers that we put on ourselves when it comes to our own health. Whether, it's the things we tell ourselves, or how we prioritize our own health, or the trauma that we've sustained from trying to navigate a system that was not made for us. So she explains to women, these are the barriers that you're putting on yourself. Overcome these so you can better engage with your body and health, because there is that factor that's specific to women. I'm sure men have very different barriers, and they do, especially when it comes to mental health, but that's specific to women. And the last part of the book is basically, if we could compile what all of the experts that we have so far say about health in terms of helping women win at health, what do they recommend? And that's the last bit. How do women actually win at health?
As you said, 80% of the purchase market today is women in this space. But very soon that can flip. It could be men also falling into the same pitfalls. Mm. The most empowering on the Eureka movement is like, can we learn from this?
Absolutely.
Before the next bunch of people fall into this pit?
This is the thing. In every way that medicine is failing us, it's also failing men when it comes to different things. For example, a big one is mental health. Men have very specific mental health needs. They respond to mental health in a different way. That's why they have much higher suicide rates. So we need to look at that as what's happening with men. And if you go in as a man with pelvic floor issues, it's going to take you a long time to find a provider that will identify that you have pelvic floor issues, because that's a female thing, right? I've heard about men being put on antibiotics for over a year until they figure it out that it was pelvic floor issues. Men also experience breast cancer, but again, there's no studies done on men for breast cancers because it's much less. This book is a fantastic tool for women, but men in the same way need precision healthcare. That's it.
I love your work. I know that this is only the beginning with the energy and passion that you still carry on this podcast. I could feel it. I could sense it. I know there's going to be many more books written. A big congratulations. And for our viewers and for listeners, It's on Amazon, is that correct?
It's on Amazon. It's in Bookazine in Hong Kong.
Wow.
And we're relaunching the second edition now. It's going to be in January, so it's very exciting.
A big congratulations to you, and thank you so much. I hope to chat with you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.